Hikaru, you do realize you're suggesting he should commit cannibalism, right? This week, we don't get Isao Murayama, but probably the next best thing, Mitsutaka Hirota. Or as I like to call him, Murayama Jr., as at least he remembers this show is supposed to have sci-fi elements, unlike pretty much every other secondary writer. They're gonna have a pajama party in 2 weeks. Though, before we get there, we cut over briefly to Madoka fiddling around the piano to both set up the main conflict of this week, and confirm that this is indeed going to be her episode, because God knows we need more purple and yellow episodes as much as we need an updated OP. Seriously, it's been almost a month since Cosmo's debut. Anyway, after the outdated OP, we got right into the space stuff with the Cures taking off in Lala's ship. And even in the cold emptiness of space, the residual heat of Japan's hot summer was still getting to Hikaru. Thus, she suggested they make some shaved ice, only to learn that Lala's refrigerator was broken. Be it in the average kitchen or an alien spacecraft, fridges are always the hardest damn thing to fix. Since her alien friends didn't know what shaved ice was, she explained it to them in her head. Okay, that's actually kind of hilarious. Elna suggested that she might be able to make some shaved ice for her back on Earth after she finished her summer homework. All this talk about academics got Madoka thinking about how she needed to brush up on her piano skills as she hadn't practiced in a while. Best advice I can give is make sure this guy isn't your instructor. Putz. Actually, that clip is quite appropriate for this episode, as while her friends assumed the reason Madoka couldn't practice was because of her 1,000,001 other commitments, it was actually a little more complicated as we learned through a flashback. While her skills were good enough to win a competition, Madoka felt as though a girl who wasn't technically as sound as her and yet more passionate deserved to win instead. This is actually a really good scene, as just through everyone's facial expressions alone, you can tell exactly what's bothering Madoka. Kind of makes her narration at the end of it where she pretty much spells everything out for the audience more than a little superfluous, but still good stuff. Unaware of what exactly she was lacking in her music, Madoka confided in the former idol of their team. She asked Uni what was the driving force behind her singing as Mao, which made her recollect her queen, and oh god, get off the screen! Sorry, I'm still just a little shell-shocked from seeing the trailer to the Cats movie. Don't look it up! Yeah, anyway, that little talk got sidelined as Madoka's pendant was pointing them in the direction of her third and last pen, the Aquarius. They full-warped to a planet in the shape of a snowman, and I would normally question how a planet could take on such a shape, complete with a ribbon and everything, but we already got a bone-shaped planet in a previous Hirota episode, so I won't even bother. Predictably, one of the residents of the planet was a living snowman, though thankfully not voiced by Michael Keaton. Now apparently he's voiced by Gin-san. Seriously, what the hell? Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I totally didn't realize this guy was voiced by Tomokazu Sugita until I saw the ending credits. I guess I'm just really used to him hamming it up even while playing himself. Anyway, Sugita Frost introduced himself as Yukio. Because of course the alien snowman would have a very Japanese sounding name that when written in kanji could be written as Snowman. You know guys, just because you write for kids doesn't mean you have to be that on the nose. Speaking of which, hi Nightmare Fuel! I mean, yeah, snowman and everything, but I can't imagine a lot of kids enjoying the got your nose trick being taken to the next level. Anyway, after trying out several questionable nostril options, Yukio tried out a star pen. Because of course the first person the Precure ran into on this planet had the pen.
Oh, how convenient!
Still, he wasn't willing to hand it over as he wanted to use it to impress a snow fairy looking alien named Irma.
Yukio,
Mana, you're on the wrong channel and time slot. Anyway, to break the ice, Yukio tried to tell a joke with his carrot nose that honestly came off more terrifying than anything, and Irma seemed to agree with me and flew off. According to Yukio, he had never seen her smile, which confused Hikaru as she believed a desolate planet with nothing but snow could be fun. Yeah, I think Luke would disagree with you there, Hikaru. This of course led into the aforementioned cannibalism scene. What, you never eaten your own arm? What a weirdo. Oh, okay, that legit hurt. Ow, ow. Also on that note, how are these girls not cold on the snow planet? I understand that the humidity in Japan right now is through the roof, but it would be too much to ask the animators to give these girls some coats. Anyway, after some standard activities like snowball fights and skating on ice without skates, Hikaru tried something different and used some ice stalactites to play music. Believing that a cheerful melody might make Irma smile, Yukio agreed to hand over the star pen if the Precure could do just that. Thus, they left it in the hands of the most musically oriented member of their team, Madoka, who they kinda sprang this on as soon as Irma arrived and didn't really give her time to practice or get a feel for playing a tune on stalactites. But I'm sure this'll work out just fine. Actually, it did work out at first, with her playing a nice tune that everyone could sit down and listen to, and okay, seriously, how could anyone just casually sit down on a block of ice? Anyway, while her opening was good, it was clear that as Madoka went along, her tune was starting to fall apart, as she was slowing down dramatically due to overthinking things. Which, to this show's credit, in spite of the rotating writing staff, this has remained a consistent character flaw with Madoka. When Madoka overthinks, she ends up focusing only on accomplishing her goals while forgetting why she had goals in the first place. In this case, her goal was simply to make a cheerful melody for Irma. It didn't have to be anything fancy, just a fun tune that everyone could get into that Madoka ended up overcomplicating. Luckily, the other musically oriented member of their team managed to provide some backup tunes in the form of her usual song, which Madoka managed to match up with. This not only produced a much better performance than last week's horribly animated disaster, but it also made Madoka realize what she lacked back at that piano competition. A desire just to have some fun. Irma got into the performance, but after seeing Yukio fumble around with his nose, she ran off for some reason. And of course, since we can't go a week without them, the Notarators led by Tenjo were waiting outside. Okay, so the Tengu Dominatrix is the only one who acknowledges this plant is cold? I mean, yeah, she's wearing less clothes than everyone, but you think those shoulder pads would do something. To get Yukio's pen, she of course used Irma as a catalyst to make, honestly, one of the more impressive looking monsters of the week so far. The snowball cannons were a nice touch. Anyway, the Precure engaged her, remembering they had star pens this week, but Yukio got caught in the crossfire. Tenjo, not every snowman. He of course handed over his pen to Madoka, who again, at least had the most variation in her attack animation. She didn't actually defeat the monster, as of course Toei still needed to try and sell Yuri's weapon. Oof, 3.5 stars. They rescued Irma and went through the usual princess revival ritual, with Fua kind of turning into Prunsu. Still, 10 down, 2 to go. While checking up on Irma, a noseless Yukio ended up making her laugh. A lot. Yeah, as it turned out, Anime Elsa here was the prime example of a kudere, as she was trying to hide the fact that she had an inability to control her laughter. Obviously, Yukio didn't mind her laughing at his noseless state, even though again, I kinda find it off-putting, reminds me a bit too much of Voldemort. Thus, the episode ended with the team making their way back to Earth, with Hikaru worrying about whether or not she would be able to finish her summer homework because she's the pink cure, it's practically their kryptonite. Leaps in logic and some underperformances aside, this is still a really good episode that managed to balance out developing both a character who really needed the development in Madoka and a developing character in Yuri. I dare say this is a pretty cool episode. I'll see myself out. Though, before that, I gotta say, Hirota seems to be the only guy in the writer's room who cares about the forgotten half of this team, and thus has taken the initiative in fleshing them out properly. Madoka is probably the character I relate the most to in this series, as someone who also tends to overthink and overcomplicate things. And the fact that she's a repeat offender hits right at home with me. Still, that doesn't mean she's not learning from these experiences, as she is becoming more active in correcting her bad habits. This week's lesson was almost a retread of Sweet's third episode, but handled much better in my opinion. While the moral was basically the same, that you should try and have fun with all of your hobbies, Madoka learned this from experience it firsthand, rather than learning it from some obstinate parent just spelling it out for her. God, I hate Don Hojo. And she learned this thanks to Uni, whose presence in this episode was significant enough that it didn't feel like she was coming out of nowhere, but not at all intrusive or got in the way of her story. Both girls remembered why they liked music in the first place, and neither felt less important than the other. All in all, my only problems with this episode are minor nitpicks at best, like Tenjo still not being the least bit interesting, and I kind of wish Yukio had raised the Sugita levels a little. Not saying he has to go full Dr. Verb, but at least give us some Yuichi snark if the episode is gonna mostly take place in the snow. Regardless, now that we're halfway through this series, it's high time the Forgotten Ones got a little more screen time, and this was definitely a step in the right direction. If you haven't seen it yet, I just uploaded my reaction to the trailer for the upcoming Star Twinkle movie. Yeah, I know it was a little late to the party, but give me a break. I was also working on the DDPC review at the same time, which, by the way, look forward to that like maybe this Wednesday. Look forward to all of that, and until then though, farewell for now my friends, and remember, don't overuse your AC this summer. Not unless you gotta record in front of a bright sun in order to get a proper green screen to work. I gotta go buy some lights.